I have been I've been trying to collect my thoughts for the last like 20 minutes and I don't think I have yet, and I think I'm going to use this outlet as an opportunity to try to collect my thoughts because I have a lot of them. I have a lot of thoughts right now at this very moment, but let's start simple. Let's start by getting some basics out the way. The Giants and Luis Arraez reportedly agreed to a 1 year, $12 million deal. He is supposedly going to slot into second base, which means Casey Schmidt will in turn become a super utility guy. And I do want to get into the potential implications with Schmidt as well. And I think MLB.com's Mike Petriello, if I'm remembering correctly, wrote a piece sometime during the offseason, probably towards the beginning of the offseason, about how Luis Arias is a very, I don't know if the adjective that he used is weird. I don't know if the adjective that he used is confusing. Yes, it's a very of everybody that the Giants have signed this offseason, Arias by far has the most interesting profile. And I think the best way to go about this is to just go kind of split it down the middle, go the good and the bad. And let's start with the good. And it's obviously been maybe an hour since the signing has happened. I had to write the story. There was a bunch of stats that I looked at, and I didn't have an opportunity to do a true deep dive, but I have enough, and having watched him over the years, I have enough of a sense of what the Giants are getting here. So we're not going to go super deep dive, but we're going to go deep dive enough. The good. Luis Arias's 317 batting average is the highest among all active players. He is a three-time batting champion. He has eclipsed the 200 hit mark twice in his major league career, a major league career that spans 7 seasons with the Minnesota Twins primarily, but also the Miami Marlins and the San Diego Padres. And when it comes to bat to ball skills, there is nobody in Major League Baseball that is better than Luis Arraez. I believe the number, if I remember correctly, is since 2019, his contact rate of 93.8 is the best in all of baseball. This man does not strike out. Last year, it was 3.1%, which, if that sounds low, it is really low. That was the lowest in all of baseball. Over his career, it's 6.1%, which is really low. It is also the lowest in all of baseball over that time span. And he's just an irritant. You're not going to really strike him out. You're not really the kind of flip side of the coin when it comes to Arias as a pitcher or as a hitter is that he doesn't walk a ton either. It's like a 6.5% walk rate. So the majority of the times that you see Luis Arraez come to the plate in the year 2026, it is going to end with him putting the ball in play in some capacity. I believe if the number is correct, it's a 117 career OPS plus. That means, of course, he has been 17% better than a league average hitter over the course of his major league career, which is very good. And I think the one thing that really stands out to me is that the Giants lineup now has a very interesting stylistic contrast because on one end you have guys like Arise and Jung Hoo Lee, two of the best bat to ball guys in all of Major League Baseball. Lee, not quite at the tip top level of Luis Arise, but no one is. But the number that I looked at is that since 2024, Jung Hoo Lee's contact rate of, I want to say 88.5%. That's eighth in all of baseball. So you have two of the best bat to ball guys in the entire game. And then you contrast that with guys that have a ton of power. We're talking about Rafael Devers. We're talking about Willie Adames. We're talking about Matt Chapman. We're potentially talking about Bryce Eldridge as well, though, of course, it's not a guarantee that he's going to be on the opening day roster. So it is this very interesting push pull dynamic. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this lines up, who might hit leadoff, where Arias might slot in the lineup. And so when you look at that, this is a Giants lineup that's going to be a lot more difficult to navigate with the presence of Arias, just because you do have that kind of stylistic contrast. And when you look at the infield in particular, you have Arias at second base, Devers potentially at first base, Adames at shortstop, Chapman at third base. You have one of the best offensive infields in all of baseball right there. Chapman's been an all-star. Adames has never been an all-star, but it's played at a borderline all-star level. Arraez has been a three-time all-star. Devers, I want to say, has been a three-time all-star as well. It's just a very star-studded lineup. And then you throw, if you want to just throw more accolades in the mix, Harrison Bader, who we talked about a lot over the last couple days. He's the one-time Gold Glover. Patrick Bailey, two-time Gold Glover, probably should have been a Platinum Glover last season. So just a lot of like when you look at this lineup, I think the one thing that you can definitively say is that the Giants lineup now, compared to where it was a week ago, is substantially stronger. They addressed the outfield issue by signing Bader. They've now added additionally by signing Arraez and then again having Casey Schmidt in this potential super utility role. So this position group is definitively a lot better now than it was a week ago. Now, let's get into the other side of the equation because again, I'm not exaggerating when I say that Luis Arraez is incredibly polarizing. Like if you just look at his Savant page, that tells you all you need to know. So, on one end, yes, 117 OPS plus, 17% better than a league average hitter over the course of his career. He's coming off a season where by OPS plus he was below average for the first time in his career. He was at 99. Now, in all fairness, by WRC plus, I want to say it was 104. But over the last 2 years in particular, 2024, 2025, Arias hasn't been kind of at that same three-time batting champion level that he was compared to 2021, 2022. 2023. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I know that I think he peaked at like an OPS plus of around 130 at some point. And when you have this style, if you're able to produce that much offensive output and again get in that kind of 130 OPS plus range, this style is a lot more manageable. But when it's and I think the one thing that I didn't mention in the previous kind of looking at the good thing is that Arias doesn't hit for a ton of power. So if you're not going to hit for a ton of power, if the batting average is like sky high, like really high, then yes, this is a archetype, this is a style, this is a profile that can work. When the offense or when the batting average rather isn't sky high, then you kind of get to that position where the value isn't quite as high. And again, just through a brief look at Arias' numbers offensively, last year it was the lowest expected batting at or not batting average, lowest expected slugging percentage of his career. It was the lowest hard hit percentage of his career. I'll have to look further as far as the average exit velocity is expected batting average, but those were the two numbers when I was looking that just instantly came to mind. So that's one part of this. He's coming off the worst offensive season of his career. And this isn't to say he can't turn it around. This isn't to say he can't have an above average season next year, but this is something to factor into the equation. Now, as far as second base, Arias has been definitively a below average defender at second base over the course of his career. I want to say it's -6 defensive run save, but it's like -35 outs above average. It has not been all that great defensively. And the last time that he played second base full time was 2023. Over the last two seasons, 24, 25, he's primarily been at first base. And Casey Schmidt, by contrast, even in a season where he was learning the ropes of second base, you could definitely see the glimpses that, hey, there might be something here as far as him being, an above average defender at second base, especially when you considering, like I mentioned, last year was his first time really being a full-time second baseman. And, you give him a full off season, you allow him to really grow into that role. And maybe he's even better in 2026. So, those are the things that really come to mind when it comes to some of the deficiencies in his game. And again, I'm sure as I take more time to really digest this profile, there will be some other things that come to mind. But again, it is a very, very, very weird profile. And it's honestly kind of fun. It's really kind of fun to analyze and debate something like this. And I'm sure that me and my friends over at the Beat, we're gonna spend a lot of time discussing exactly how this might factor into the Giants' plans, and even just watching him over the course of the year and trying to determine like, hey, is Luis Arraez a net positive or a net negative or a net neutral for the Giants in 2026. But to kind of pin a bow on this conversation, I don't know how long I just kind of spoke and rambled over there. But to kind of pin a bow on this, the Giants have been looking for, or reportedly have been looking for a second baseman over the course of this offseason. They've been linked to Brendan Donovan, they've been linked to Nico Horner, and now with Luis Arraez, the Giants have found their man.